Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone from the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. Very pleased to see a number of colleagues with us. So let me greet all the UN resident coordinators, the DCO leadership, the DCO regional directors, regional commissions, country office, colleagues, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. And welcome to the launch of the e-module on South-South and Triangle Cooperation to accelerate transformation for sustainable development. So we're very, very pleased. This e-module really responds to the mandate that's given and requested to us by the member states through the second committee resolutions over the last 2 years and calling for the UN development system to support the mainstreaming of South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation in the UN sustainable development cooperation frameworks and regional collaborative frameworks. So your role is key, is instrumental in making this e-module gets operationalized and happening. And during the July meeting of the Executive Committee chaired by the UN Secretary General, he also highlighted the increasing global significance of South-South and Triangle cooperation. As emerging economies expand their share of the global economy, it becomes crucial for the UN to incorporate these forms of cooperation into our operations. The SG also pointed out the growing demand from the UN country teams for enhanced support in helping host governments and called for increased support for resident coordinators. Now, across the system and the regions, we have been seeing increasing engagement in South-South and Triangle cooperations. Some regions have even further advanced this in terms of institutionalizing South-South and Triangle cooperation. And here I'm particularly mentioning the region of Latin America. Glad to see Roberto here with us. He will be also moderating part of this discussion. What I also want to mention that, guided by the UN Secretary General reports, guided by the member states, we have embarked on this important initiative to develop these guidelines and this e-module also for the UN country teams. And here I also want to underscore and underpin the key role of the partnership with DCO in terms of, chaperoning this with us and in terms of walking the talk. The e-module focuses on guidelines for integration, as I mentioned, of South-South and Triangle cooperation into the country and into the regional level work of the United Development System, the United Nations Development System. It was released back in 2023 together with DCO, and it simplifies and also clarifies the guidelines, making them more accessible and learners and enables the self-paced learning across the board. So as I said, this e-module represents the work of a partnership with DCO, but also it brings together the collective wisdom and effort of over 20 UN entities, including entities that have provided financial support and contributions to making it happen, whether it's FAO, whether it's PAHO, UNFPA and WFP. We are really very happy and proud because the operationalization of such work really needs the collective effort of all UN entities. The UN Staff College also has been a key, brain behind all of this. They have lent us their training expertise. And of course, the DCO has ensured the perfect alignment of our frameworks with the different guidelines that DCO also issues. So we're very proud of this product. It will be, the module is, as I said, a practical, a comprehensive guide that will help you navigate the complexities of South-South cooperation and Triangle cooperation in your daily work. It is self-paced, it is user-friendly, it's filled really with real-world case studies and innovative examples. That was also provided to us by the different UN entities. So whether you're working in a UN country team, whether you're working in a regional office, whether you are a resident in the resident coordinator's office, really this module addresses or aims to address your specific needs. Now, in terms of South-South and triangular cooperation, you will also find in the module guidance on how to integrate that into the roadmaps, into the common country as analysis, and into the UN Sustainable Development Frameworks and Strategies, which, as we all know, eventually will translate into the different UN entities, country program documents, or country program frameworks. We would wish and we would like you to perceive and view South-South and triangular cooperation as an important modality of support, as a partnership modality, and a financing modality also for the, as the UN system, as we all know, is also navigating an increasingly difficult, as I would put it, development cooperation ecosystem at this time. And also within the guidelines, you will find also resources such as, the South-South Cooperation Trust Fund, cooperation that we have with development banks and their financing instruments, knowledge networks, portals like our South-South knowledge platform, South-South Galaxy, and tools that will facilitate networks among the different national development agencies. As we said, it is designed and developed to guide different categories of our work, whether we are in the resident coordinator's office, whether we are working at the regional level, but most importantly is also the development practitioners, our workforce across the board and in the different UN system entities. As an office that is the entity, which is the focal entity, if you will, for facilitating and promoting South-South and triangular cooperation, we do have, as part of our work, to enable, capacities and provide tools such as this tool for the UN system and for the member states. This module is at the heart of what we are doing. In addition to that, we, of course, engage with peer support groups and, support in quality assurance during the preparations of the CCAs, but also organizing webinars that would include UN country teams, RCs, peer support groups, and of course, we have been recently initiating an exercise to map and see how far is the UN system on the ground advancing South-South and triangular cooperation. We are also spearheading this with the Latin American region under the leadership also of Roberto, together with the teams of the RCs. In addition to that, of course, the work that we do, of course, has to facilitate and report on intergovernmental processes, but also very much on knowledge co-creation and of course scaling up through the South-South and triangular cooperation solutions lab, which I all invite you also to further explore and discover this new platform. It's a partnership platform, and of course the South-South Cooperation Trust Fund management. I don't want to be long, but South-South and triangular cooperation, in terms of also our mandate, we do have different if you will, tasks and activity within the different areas of work that we do. And I really invite you to also, whenever you get the chance, to look at our website and get to know all of these activities. One of the things that I also want to mention is there are already several examples of UN country teams that have integrated South-South and triangular cooperation into their respective UNSCDFs. For example, the India UNSCDF for 2023-2027 identifies South-South and triangular cooperation as a strategy to facilitate investments in research, technology, and innovations. And today we will hear also from, I think Shombi is joining us also online, and we will hear more from him. The China UNSCDF also for 2021-2025 positions South-South and triangular cooperation as critical components of international development cooperation strategy. Very important to note that also for us, both India and China are critical partners for the office in terms of the trust funds and beyond that. The Kenya UNSCDF for 2022-2026 also includes indicators to capture development assistance and South-South cooperation as a proportion of the total domestic budget that benefits people of Kenya at risk of being left behind. Rwanda UNSCDF is for 2018-2024 also emphasizes regional cooperation as a priority for the government to promote national and regional peace for sustainable development. The Saudi Arabia UNSCDF for 2022-2026 also highlights the government's interest to forge partnerships through effective capacity building in developing countries, including through North-South, South-South, and triangle cooperation. And lastly, as an example, is the Egypt UNSCDF, whereby also Egypt is really playing a role in promoting and leading on working on South-South and triangle cooperation within the African region, but also within the Arab region. This really mainstreaming is not only about, having additional work to do. It's really about widening the scope of partnership and really leveraging the expertise and the networks that we have across the board as UN system, but also in terms of our presence in different regions and in different countries. So thanks again for DCO for being also a key partner in this. As we move along today with the discussion, I'm sure that there is also a lot of opportunities for further follow-up. So we're very much, keen to listen to all of you, and really let me pass the mic to Helena Fraser. She's the Chief of the Policy and Programming Branch at the UNDCO. Helena, thank you for joining us, and the mic is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for including DCO in this important launch event. And thank you for your great partnership with the South-South Cooperation Office and the Development Coordination Office that you indeed highlighted. It's been a really important partnership precisely because, as you said, the UN development system has a critical role to play in facilitating, catalyzing and accelerating South-South and triangular cooperation. And this is not a new mandate. Ever since the member states initiated their stress on the importance of South-South cooperation, there's been a call on the UN family to support that in line with national requirements. It was reflected again in the 2019 Buenos Aires Plan of Action +40 outcome document. Again in the QCPR resolution, as you mentioned, and it's also clearly articulated in the Pact for the Future. So South-South cooperation is something that we need to be doing better to fulfill the ask by our member states to really lean in on all aspects of SDG acceleration. It was great to hear you, Dima, highlighting the work that many of our resident coordinators and resident coordinator offices have been leading in terms of integrating South-South cooperation into the common country analyses and into the cooperation frameworks. According to our reporting, 117 country teams have indicated some form of South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation last year, which I think is tremendous. But we need to lean in further with this exercise, and that's exactly where these guidelines and e-module are going to be hopefully extremely helpful to ensure that partner UN entities on the ground are inspired by opportunities, have clear understanding of the checklists that can be useful, the guiding questions, the opportunities for information sharing, peer exchange and case studies, which I think will be tremendously helpful in raising the bar. I won't go into any detail because you've already flagged a few of our resident coordinators who've been championing South-South cooperation with their country teams, and I think we'll hear from some of them shortly. But I do also want to stress the important role of the regional level. So it's great to see so many of our regional directors are on the line today, because there is a really important role of the peer support groups in ensuring in their quality assurance of common country analyses and cooperation frameworks that their opportunities to advance South-South and triangular cooperation have been seized. And I know that you've already had a number of webinars at regional level for country teams together with our regional offices on the guidelines. And I think we look forward to continuing that rollout in partnership with you. So colleagues, without further ado, and knowing we've got a very short time for a lot of interesting exchange this morning, a big appreciation again to you, the colleagues in the South-South Cooperation Office, and of course to the colleagues in the Staff College. It's great to see you online as well. And I hand the floor back to you, Dima. Over.
Thank you very much, Helena. And I think, as I understand from the colleagues, that this year there will be some 35 UNSCDFs to be prepared in 2025. So that's a major also opportunity to also leverage South-South and its potential as these important framework documents are being developed. I think we are at a point where we will now officially launch the e-module, and for that, we will also take a kind of a collective picture. If people can also turn on their cameras, especially the speakers, so we could make sure that we capture that moment. This is to officially launch the module. This is also sharing with you the link to the e-module on our website. So please do bookmark that page for future reference. That's the page of the staff. And that is also the page of the United Nations System Staff College, where the e-module can be accessed and for the self-paced learning, as we have already mentioned. Right? Did we take already the pictures? Thank you very much. And having launched now the e-module, we will pass the mic to the head of the Office of the UN System Staff College, Center for Sustainable Development, Mr. Patrick Van Weer. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dima, and good morning, good afternoon to all. It's a real pleasure to be here and to take part in this launch. It marks a significant milestone in UNSSC's long-standing partnership with the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, and it really reaffirms our commitment to supporting the UN system to respond to the comprehensive learning, training, and knowledge management needs of the UN staff and partners in the context of the 2030 Agenda and the Paris Agreement. As was said already, in collaboration with DCO, the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, and the UN Interagency Mechanism for South-South and Triangular Cooperation, we were able to design this e-module on South-South and Triangular Cooperation with a view to further integrate South-South and Triangular Cooperation into UN cooperation frameworks and planning and monitoring instruments at the regional level. We do believe that the module can play an important role in making existing guidelines even more accessible to colleagues so that they can further strengthen programmatic support to national partners and drive progress towards national priorities in the 2030 Agenda. However, as we know from the abundance of learning programs and guidance, genuine commitment is truly required to put intentions into action. As the novelist Brian Herbert eloquently stressed a long time ago, the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, but the willingness to learn is a choice. Well, that choice is yours and available, and I believe it is one well worth making. Colleagues, allow me really to take this moment also to thank Dima and her incredibly committed team for the collaboration. We have worked with many partners, but this one is truly special to us, and we're very happy that it has taken the shape it has taken over the years. I really do look forward to continuing this work with the UN Office for South-South and Triangular Cooperation, and really to see what we can do to bring case studies even more to the fore to see how they impact at country level. But I also want to really recognize some of my own team here in Bonn, because they have been working on this for 1.5 years. And I do think it brings together some of the learning expertise together with the knowledge in a way, hopefully, that is compelling to people to take the module. So I'm looking forward to learning also about the feedback for that. Having said that, and we have a full program, let us now take us a look. Let us take a look at the actual product. And as such, I'm happy to hand over to Sumita, who will give a few introductory words on the actual module as well before we show it. Sumita?
Thank you so much, Patrick, and welcome, colleagues. Just to emphasize again that the whole idea behind this exercise or creating this product was really to equip all of you, UN colleagues, especially at country level and regional level, and provide you with the tools that could be needed as you support your national partners in integrating South-South in your daily work, particularly as you prepare the common country analysis and the country framework documents. So this was a really exciting process where many of you who are on the screen were, engaged. And I think it's the process that made the product also extremely relevant. So what does this module contain? Basically, it has 6 lessons. The first one focuses really on the basics of what is South-South and triangular cooperation, what are these modalities, why are they important for the SDGs, and how we can leverage them in our work. This includes a description of things like the principles, the definitions from intergovernmental processes, also what are some of the insights into these intergovernmental processes, what are some of these important processes that specifically deal with South-South cooperation, and what are the decisions that were taken. So it will familiarize you with the global and regional intergovernmental decisions. Then it also familiarizes you with the UN system-wide strategy, which is focused on South-South cooperation and the role of the UN system. And lastly, also talks a lot about the advantages of South-South and triangular cooperation and why member states consider these modalities important for achieving SDGs or accelerating progress towards national priorities. The second lesson is focused entirely on the preparation of the UNSTCF and the CCA. And it is a step-by-step on how this can be done, including a lot of tools, checklists, guiding questions, practical steps, case studies, examples, particularly case studies of country teams who have already progressed well in this direction. The third lesson is more focused on the work of the UN system at the regional level. So it goes into specific entry points at the regional level where South-South can be mainstreamed. It also goes into sub-regional mechanisms and also importantly, the significance of multi-country frameworks as they deal also with a lot of cross-border issues. It includes steps and tools to mainstream South-South in the planning, reporting, and monitoring processes of the regional collaborative platforms, regional commissions, and regional offices of UN entities. And lastly, again, replete with a lot of case studies and examples on incorporating South-South into some of these processes. The fourth lesson is extremely important because it's got a wealth of resources on partnerships and financing. As Dima mentioned, there are ample avenues for resources from Southern Development Banks, from South-South Trust Funds, other funding mechanisms, and there is an entire section both in the guidelines, but of course the module which mirrors the guidelines is full of a lot of resources on financing and lastly on knowledge platforms and networks across UN entities, of course those offered by our office as well, focused on South-South, including the South-South Galaxy. The last section is focused on monitoring, reporting and evaluation. And here we go into the architecture of the system-wide strategies, action plan and M&E framework. What are the responsibilities of the UN system at the global, regional and country level? Also the role of the resident coordinators offices in implementing this strategy and the M&E framework. And lastly, how you can apply this monitoring framework and action plan using some of the outputs, deliverables, indicators as you prepare the UNSTCF. Yes, I'm going to stop there and hand over to Samant from the Staff College, who will take us through a demo and how you can sign up. Over to you, Samant. Samant, can you turn on
Thank you
your...
so much, Sumita. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. Yeah, it's indeed been a pleasure for us here at the Staff College to work on this collaborative product. I don't see you all on the screen right now, but I'm assuming that my screen is visible to everyone.
It is.
Excellent. Okay, so Dima gave us a good overview of what it is that we were trying to achieve through this module, and Patrick also emphasized some of the points about how we've tried to bring in some learning design to make this a meaningful journey. And thank you, Sumita, for guiding us through the overview of what each individual lesson is. So I won't take a lot of time to go through each lesson. Consider this a teaser where we just show you rather than tell you about some of those elements that we've baked into this module. And I'll just guide you through maybe lesson one for a little bit, just to emphasize what the diverse elements are in this module. But of course, this is not a demo of the entire course. They say the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so we would invite you to explore it at your own time. But having said that, this is what the landing page of the course looks like on the UNSSC platform, UN Campus 30. And of course, you could navigate this course here from the left-hand side, or you could go down and find a little more detail about each lesson. I'm going to go into lesson one right now. Let's start at the top and show you how we've laid out some of the work. So this is how each individual lesson starts with the learning objectives, as well as a little bit of indication on how long it takes you to go through it. So you could plan your learning. I mean, this is certainly not intended to be done in one go. There's quite a lot of details, as colleagues have already pointed out. And you could obviously come back to the lesson once you've logged out and whenever you find the time to do so. So besides the text that you see here, we've also put in a few instructional videos. There are some interviews as well. I'm just going to play this for maybe a few seconds just to give you a taste of what this is like. So yes, there's plenty of video content. In fact, there are a lot of interactive elements here as well. We've used them quite liberally just to also break up the text a little bit and make it a little more engaging for the user. So we have some of those elements here. Moving forward, as all the speakers before me pointed out, this has truly been a collaborative effort, and one of the reasons why this module is so practical in its approach is because of the case studies that we've got from all the partners from the interagency group who've contributed. This is just one of those examples. This is a case study from colleagues at the World Food Programme. And just to show you, this is how we've laid it out in terms of detail. Of course, for those who seek out more details, there's always the possibility to get deeper into any individual case study or example that we feature. It's fairly intuitive, fairly easy to navigate. So I think you will enjoy reading these. There are also some useful interactive graphics here for those who are trying to get an overview of what it is that the office has done and how South-South and Triangular Cooperation has progressed over the years. We've also included this section, and I'll click on any one of these links, perhaps the link here, the BAPA plus 40. All these documents have been included because besides being a practical guide where you have checklists for integrating South-South and Triangular Cooperation into the UNSTCF, This is also a repository of a lot of the information that the office has already put out. So for example, wherever we find it's useful, we put these helpful links, which you can access to deepen your knowledge. Moving forward, again, as I'd mentioned, there are several interactive elements and also knowledge checks, which we built into this. So once you've gone through these cards, which actually talk about the principles of South-South cooperation, which have been split up into normative principles and operational, there is a little sorting activity or a quiz. So I'm going to try my hand at this. Of course, you can also do that once you're in the module. So let's see this. I seem to have gotten that one right. Moving ahead, we also have some examples. Now, these are not as detailed as the case studies, but we've always ensured that we give you more links so you can connect with those colleagues who might be working on this to deepen your knowledge or to perhaps facilitate an exchange. And speaking of exchanges, there is plenty of opportunity for peer sharing as well. This being an example, we have some guiding questions here, and this is a Padlet where you can respond to what's been said by other colleagues. You can engage with them in that way by responding to comments, or you could add your own reflections here as well. And we do believe that this could be an important space for collaboration, for sharing ideas as well. Besides that, you will see that there's plenty of videos, there's plenty of explainer charts. Perhaps I'll exit this lesson, highlight a couple of other things, and then I'll hand back to the colleagues. So Sumita and Dima had both mentioned that there's a module, there's a lesson on partnerships and financing. And why I particularly pull this out for you is to tell you that a lot of the resources that the Office of South-South Cooperation has made available have also been incorporated here. So this is a good repository in that sense. And here's an example of that. This is a chart that we adapted from the material given to us on the trust funds that are directly managed by the Office of South-South Cooperation on behalf of member states. So these are just some of the examples of the kind of content you have. Again, as I said, we invite you to explore this in your own time. And perhaps one final thing I'll draw your attention to is the lesson 6, which is the recap of all lessons. And again, we've tried to be as user-friendly as possible. Each lesson has been recapped horizontally here rather than vertically to be like a quick overview of what was discussed in the module. And of course, there are links to go back to each lesson if you choose to get into any topic more deeply. So that's pretty much it for the demo. Hopefully, this inspires you to look at this module and share it with colleagues and with your teams. I'll just do a very quick run through on how to access this module. And Dima had already mentioned that you could get to this from the UNOSSC website, from the website of the Office of South-South Cooperation. I think my screen was lost there for a second. Let's try this again. So that is, of course, the landing page on the Office of South-South Cooperation website. You could navigate from there. But essentially, there are 2 steps to this, and it's very simple. Step 1 is to sign up on the UNSSC website homepage. And of course, you only need to sign up once. All these links will be shared with you, perhaps in the chat here, but there's also a 1-pager PDF that the office will be circulating. So you can follow, anyone who wants to take this can follow instructions, and it's fairly simple. So there's the sign up step, and of course, there's the actual content, which we were visiting in the demo right now. So that's step 2, logging onto the learning platform. Very quick run through. Once you have signed up, and like I mentioned, you only sign up once and then you're in. You'll receive your registration confirmation, as is normal with anything you might sign up for, an Amazon account, perhaps a Google account. You will receive some instructions on how to go to that platform. So I'm going to zoom in on this page. That's the link to the platform we were just on, UN Campus 30. And again, we don't always remember our passwords. So if you have forgotten yours, there's a way to retrieve that. And I say that for colleagues because we are aware that many people in the UN system are already signed up on UN Campus. So for those, once you've signed up, once you've registered for the course, you'd need to just go to your account and you'll find it right there with all your other courses and learning products that you're accessing from UNSSC on your dashboard. Of course, there is a second category of users, those who've never created an account on the UNSSC learning platform. Like with any other sign up, you will get a login and password, and you'll be prompted to change your password when you first log in, and then that should be it. Once you've sorted out your login and password, whether with an existing password or with a brand new account, yes, that's important. These could end up in spam. Please let everyone know that you should check your spam folder for these emails as well. But once you're sorted with that, all you need to do is go to the UN Campus 30 platform and simply log in like you would for any website. And of course, you can log out and you can resume your study whenever you like or whenever you find time. You can always revisit lessons. You can go through the content as many times as you like. Once you've signed up, you'll have access to this course for the long term. And this is where we started our demo. So this is your personalized learning space within the learning platform UN Campus 30. All you would do is simply click on the course that you want to take, in this case, this course on leveraging South-Southern Triangular Cooperation, and you're all set. So that really is the demo. Like I said, we'll circulate these links so everyone knows where to go. And thank you so much. And if you have any trouble with your login, let us know. We'd be happy to help you. So that's our demo.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Samant, for this very clear run through and guidance. And as Samant rightly said, if there are any challenges, please do not hesitate to come back and ask questions. We will be more than happy via Samant and the colleagues here to also support you with that. We will move to a next segment of 15 minutes. As I said at the beginning, we were also very privileged that we partnered with some of the leading UN entities in the formulation, preparation of the module and the content, and supported some of them have supported financially in the elaboration of this module. In the next 15 minutes, we want to also hear from some of the UN entities how they have been leading on the rollout, if you will, of the South-South and Triangular Cooperation through these e-modules also. I mean, now we launched the e-modules, but how did they, do they plan to do the rollout? How do they plan to pursue this? How do they plan to mobilize their workforce around that to make sure that, this is part and parcel of the work they are doing? And with this, we will be hearing today from WFP, from PAHO, from UNFPA, but also from FAO. And we're very happy to have the colleagues with us here. But we will start with Ali Riza Qureshi from WFP. Hello, Ali, how are you?
Hi, good morning, Dima and colleagues. Very good morning to you all, and thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, I'll pass the mic to you to share with us, the WFP plan in terms of how do you plan to really support the rollout and making sure that this is something that your entity will definitely lead on. And also, if you see that there are any gaps or areas where some support would be needed, we will be also more than happy to hear from you. So, a few minutes, yeah.
All right, great. I'll try to keep it short. But first, again, we're very grateful to the UN Office of South-South Cooperation. We've been collaborating very well with you. And thank you for hosting this event and providing the opportunity to showcase a tool that is of value for the entire UN system and its member states. As you've seen with our cooperation with you, we are committed to coherent and aligned UN system support to the governments and the communities that we serve. So in order to support the national government best practices, we recognize that the value of platforms that enable the government to share and learn from the experience of others, as we have, it was great that Sumit did show that example of Mozambique, but there are many other examples where we have leveraged our in-country presence and relationships with different governments to take the best practices from those countries to other countries who need them. We believe that this e-module is going to be an important capacity development initiative to equip our staff at country and regional levels with the tools to scope and pursue the South-South and triangular cooperation opportunities aligned with the key principles of South-South triangular cooperation. We have been engaged throughout this process so that we can ensure that our own staff understand how they can best leverage this to tailor our response at the country level as well. And especially since we are part of the development system and we take part in under the leadership of the resident coordinator system in the common country context analysis and the cooperation and the development of the cooperation frameworks, this is going to be key in integrating the South-South cooperation within those frameworks as well. And we heard from Elena earlier about the plans, and in many countries we are part of those cooperation frameworks that have been highlighted as including the South-South cooperation. Our participation regarding the rollout of the training module, I think it's important that I think what Patrick said is the most important point. I mean, I really like the quote, and I'm gonna search for it and later on use it with your permission, Patrick. But I think it is important that learning is a choice, and the choice is now available to many of our colleagues through the Staff College learning platform. And this is something that many of our colleagues will be looking forward to and will be utilizing as well, because we recognize South-South cooperation as a strategic catalyst for advancing the food security and nutrition agenda. And through the South-South cooperation, we have already facilitated significant achievements, such as rice value chain development in Nepal and Cote d'Ivoire, and our technical assistance in facilitating a pilot to scale intervention with the government of India to roll out the largest food distribution program with multiple impact points, including the midday school meals. So as we roll out this e-module, our focus is going to be on disseminating successful South-South cooperation initiatives and identifying scalable approaches to ensure that the most vulnerable population benefit from these shared experiences and best practices. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you for giving us also these good examples. We do really count on every UN entity, the mobilization and the actual rollout, and encouraging staff to be engaged, to be able really to make this happen. Would like to also hear today, we have with us Piedad Huerta, the head of country and sub-regional coordination from PAHO, WHO. Piedad, shall we hear from you, your plans in terms of moving this forward?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Dima and colleagues. Good morning, all. I would like to start for congratulating the Office of South-South Cooperation for its leadership in the development of this online course. That is an excellent tool to facilitate the use of the guidelines. And also, Dima, for the contribution that you have been giving to the UN system in promoting and advocating and pushing the South-South and triangular cooperation. For PAHO, for the Pan American Health Organization, this modality of work is critical to address common health challenges through effective, sustainable, and equitable solutions, to promote collaboration among countries and the exchange of knowledge and experiences to accelerate progress of the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as national development priorities, in particular, in our case, health for all. The COVID pandemic has underscored, no doubt, that health is critical for development, prosperity, and security in all nations. More than ever, South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation is fundamental to expedite the exchange of experiences and best practices among countries. And the UN system plays a major role in close collaboration, of course, with member states and other partners. At PAHO, South-South and Triangular Cooperation is already present, and it was since the foundation of the organization. And it's also part of the mission and vision of work of the organization. Furthermore, PAHO member states have approved policy documents and resolutions that advance cooperation among countries for health development to strengthen cooperation between countries and horizontal partnerships. We remain committed to further strengthening our own capabilities in with this online course and adopting the guidelines to provide another relevant tool to do so. Dima, we already have produced and distributed the information, an information bulletin for the whole organization about this e-model. We already invited all of our staff to this launching, actually. I was looking at the list of participants, and I see many of my colleagues already in these launching, so they are receiving firsthand the information on the e-model, and I'm very happy for that. We also have provided a link of this e-model to all the personnel as an opportunity to include this training as part of their personal development plans. Also, this course will be also referred in our regular reporting to member states as one of the capacity building efforts to advance South-South and triangular cooperation within the organization and the UN system. PAHO manages actually a funding mechanism that provides seed funding for South-South and triangular cooperation for health development initiatives. In this course will become from now on a requirement for applying to this funding. Also, we have already in our biennial plans development and reporting included the South-South cooperation reporting for all the country offices to report on whatever they are doing on this modality of work. I would like to close my intervention, Dima. Thank you so much for inviting me, and by reiterating PAHO's commitment to continue working with the Office of South-South Cooperation and the rest of UN partners in leveraging South-South and triangular cooperation for better health and well-being for all, and in particular at country level, where our country offices are with the UNC teams. Thank you very much, and thank you all for having us and for hosting this great event. Thanks. Dima, we cannot hear you. I think that your mic was closed.
Yes, you are right. Sorry, I was thanking you, Piedad, for all the mobilization and all the good work, for being also a fantastic ally in this endeavor. And also passing the mic to UNFPA, who is also a great partner in the process and have been advocating very strongly for South-South and triangular cooperation. So we do have with us Satya Doraiswamy, who is also joining us. Can you also share with us UNFPA's plan in terms of the rollout and the engagement, Satya?
Sure. Thank you so much, Dima. First of all, warm greetings from UNFPA, the UN Population Fund, to all colleagues joining from all over the world. I would first like to start off by congratulating you, Dima, as the director of the UN Office for the South-South Cooperation, and your offices for your leadership in the creation of this e-module on SSC for the UN development system as a whole at both the regional and the country levels. I would also like to acknowledge the collaboration of our sister UN agencies, FAO, PAHO, WFP, and UNFPA, my own agency, in co-financing this effort. But financing apart, Dima, as you mentioned, this initiative, I think, is also a pioneering attempt of the UN to systematically advance SSC to serve as a vehicle for a more transformative development cooperation. And coordinated by the UN Staff Systems College, and the guidance and the review by 20 UN entities is no meager task, including the coordination efforts of UNDCO. This effort and a series of capacity building initiatives on SSC harmonizes the work of all concerned UN agencies and strengthens our interagency collaboration in engaging national partners in sustainable development. We at UNFPA are proud to have contributed to this model interagency effort. This is in keeping with our trust of the SSC interagency mechanism and as a part of our commitment to global SSC, as mandated by international agreements and by the QCPR of the GA. At UNFPA, we positioned SSC not only as a mode of engagement in how we work with partner countries, but also as an accelerator for results. As such, SSC is mainstreamed in our planning processes, that's in our country program documents, as well as in program implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. SSC is funded in all our country programs, and expenditures and results are reported in our enterprise resource planning. This e-course or e-module will become a crucial part of our set of interventions in raising UNFPA staff capacity in SSC. We will place this course on the learning management system of our ERP, where it can be accessed by all UNFPA personnel, especially those who are working on or interested in SSC. In addition, we will strongly encourage country officers who are contributing to the UNSDCF processes to use this set of learning materials for staff and to prepare them on how to engage with governments and other national partners. At UNFPA, we also have a training program on aligning country programs with the UNSDCF. So this learning module also provides an opportunity to be included as part of a larger learning endeavor. In this context, the regional office staff who will support the country office in the UNSDCF process will also be ideal learners for these learning materials. We believe more can be done from headquarters in raising the regional capacity to advance SSC in countries, as regional offices are the first port of call for all programmatic and partnership advice for countries. So we hence welcome interagency regional and sub-regional initiatives as much as country level initiatives. So we do realize having a course available and accessible is one thing, ensuring uptake is another. And we do commit to do our best to encourage and incentivize learning. So we will also strive to learn more from experience internally and from the staff systems, college and other agencies. I would like to end by saying that in UNFPA, we're committed to the efforts of making our staff and partners capable facilitators and partners in SSC in order to achieve our transformative results of zero maternal deaths, zero unmet need for contraception, and zero gender-based violence and harmful practices. Thank you so much, Dima, again, and thanks for the effort and endeavor, and passing it back to you.
Thank you, Satya. Thank you also for all the efforts of UNFPA in really institutionalizing South-South and triangular cooperation as part of your system. And this would really be very, very instrumental in moving this forward. Let me also now, the final colleague in this segment is Michela Beratelli from FAO, who would also share with us how FAO is planning to move this forward and what would be the engagement, and if there are also any comments or any gaps that you would like to raise to us. Michela, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dima, and hello, colleagues, everyone. Dear esteemed colleagues, on behalf of our FAO South-South and Triangular Cooperation Director, who unfortunately, due to prior commitments, could not be here with us today, I would like to, first of all, begin by thanking you, Dima, colleagues, the UNOSSC team, for inviting us to this notable event. FAO has been at the forefront of South-South and Triangular Cooperation for more than 2 decades, bringing together countries that have development solutions with those that are seeking, of course, to apply and adapt them to their own context. We are therefore very glad to see these joint efforts that have actually resulted in the development of a key tool to further mainstream SSTC, both at country and regional level. This self-paced online module is a testament to the great work and support provided by the UN system and to SSTC and further mainstreaming SSTC. It really provides real-time case scenarios of actions taking place in the regions at local level. And we've seen it thanks to colleagues that presented today. I think it's a really strong tool where we can see all of our UN entities working and really pushing forward the SSTC mechanism. The diversity, of course, is key for us. We need to create enabling environments for future South-South and triangular cooperation partnerships, as you, Dima, mentioned in your opening remarks. And therefore, FAO plans to make effective use of these e-learning module in multiple ways. Firstly, we will encourage our SSTC focal points in the regions. They are our key players in mainstreaming SSTC to really advocate this important tool. I'm glad to see that many of them have also joined today online, which is great. So we really will look into that and work close to them. Secondly, as we're also planning to launch our revamped SSTC Gateway platform, we will definitely utilize these e-learning module to really further promote and scale up and mainstream SSTC with our partners, with our SSTC stakeholders, regional and local, really by hosting discussion forums on the e-learning module that we've just launched today. Then thirdly, definitely, we are also in FAO revamping our current e-learning modules. So we will definitely link to the SSTC, the UN, the modules that we're launching today. Of course, this is a very important endeavor, and we really need to align those modules. So making sure that we have a one UN module. And as mentioned earlier, we believe, of course, in working in synergies and not in silos, absolutely. So therefore, the two will be really complementary. And finally, I would say that our division has in the past and is also currently organizing a series of awareness raising workshops on resource mobilization and SSTC, so in different regions. So we definitely see that we really would like to further encourage our local and regional counterparts to seek innovative SSTC funding modalities through the modules. We've seen how important the modules are and how all of those sections, and also, as you said, rightly said, Dima, the different types of modalities of funding are key, and we will make sure that that message is also comes across, let's say, our awareness raising activities. So overall, I think as such, we will make sure to include that in both our online and offline discussions. And to conclude, we definitely believe that these collaborations will be key to effectively leveraging each agency's strength, ultimately addressing and bridging complex issues underpinning agri-food systems, transformation, of course, from the north and the south. So really, we do believe that it is important that we work together and we further promote the modules together. Thank you so much. I think you're muted, Dima.
Microphone.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Michaela, and for sharing with us and flagging also the knowledge platform of FAO, the Gateway platform. And definitely, all the plans to engage further and to have discussions would be definitely something to encourage, and we're very happy to see that happening. Before we move to the next segment, a very interesting segment, which will be moderated by our colleague Roberto, let me see if there are any other UN entities from those who are participating with us, if they would like to, share any of their plans. We do have few minutes to hear from them. You can. Is someone looking at the participants? Yeah, some people in the room would like to share. Hi, yes, Laura, how are you?
Fine.
Please.
I'm sorry for the voice.
Yeah, so welcome, Laura from IAEA.
Thank you very much, and again, thank you for the invitation to this meeting. And again, we really welcome all the effort that have been going through for the preparation of this important module. And we definitely will be encouraging our colleagues as well, because we really think that this is a fantastic way to really streamline and promote the guidance. So thank you for putting so much effort in this, and definitely we will be using it for promoting the importance of South-South cooperation and Global Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us in person also today. I didn't notice that IAEA has been a real champion in terms of also trying to promote South-South and triangular cooperation. But thank you, colleagues. We have a very important segment coming up, which will be moderated by Roberto, is to also, hear from the regional colleagues, DCO regional, the RCs also on their on the rollout of the module. So Roberto, can I hand the mic to you and thank you again in advance for being a champion and a partner.
No, thanks to you, Dima. Thanks to you, Dima, and thanks to all colleagues here. Actually, I mean, first of all, I'll take over, and I wish to welcome all of you to the open discussion session on the rollout of the e-modules, a reflection from regions and country level, which is critical. It is also a pleasure, really a great pleasure, Dima, that first of all to partner with you as DCO and with your great team. And it's also an opportunity to also deepen collaboration with DCO, but also with the UNOSSC, between DCO and UNOSSC. And allow me also to thank the Staff College for partnering in this event and always supporting UN staff learning opportunities and trajectory. And as you effectively stated, Dima, in your introductory remarks, South-South cooperation is more relevant really than ever, no? With member states increasingly relying on it to really mobilize knowledge, expertise, and resources. But also it is a system that is embedded in common country assessments, our common analytical frameworks, in our common framework, operational and planning frameworks, the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation frameworks, making South-South cooperation a vital mechanism to advance the Agenda 2030, and obviously all the initiatives that are interlinked to the agenda, including the Pact of the Future. A key milestone clearly is the e-module that is being introduced today on South-South cooperation, which is developed by multiple UN agencies, funds, program, and the secretariat entities. And as everyone highlighted, this is a tool that definitely enhances learning, but also capacity building, ensuring that we integrate also this approach more effectively in UN country programming as a matter of urgency in so many ways. And its rollout is also crucial in scaling up impact and also supporting national priorities. And now the session is clearly providing us an opportunity to hear regional and country level perspectives on the rollout of the e-module and the broader integration of South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation actually into UN programming. And so first, I would like to introduce the panelists from whom I will invite interventions. Each speaker has 3 minutes to respond to 3 guiding questions, or the parts of the questions that they want to be guided from. And also I will be introducing very soon to them, and obviously I will really be appreciating their insights. First of all, allow me to introduce David McLachlan-Carr. He is the regional director for the regional office for Asia and the Pacific for UNDCO. Gui Yeopson, she is the regional director for the regional office for Europe and Central Asia of UNDCO. Pauline Magawi, she's senior regional coordinator officer from the regional office of Africa of UNDCO. Our dear colleague also Mohamed Al-Zarqani, UN resident coordinator Saudi Arabia. Sean Bishar, UN Resident Coordinator, India, and Tilmiza Hussein, Director, Regional Commissions in the New York office. So I'll be introducing to you the guiding questions, and then I'll be moving forward with you, starting with David, moving with Gui, Pauline, Mohammed, Shombi, and you, Tilmiza. The first question is, how frequently does the UN system receive requests from national partners for supporting South-South and triangular cooperation? What are the biggest challenges here that resident coordinators and UNCTs face in responding effectively, particularly in aligning with national priorities and accessing available funding mechanisms? This is a composite question, as you can see. The second one is, how can the e-module most effectively support resident coordinators, UNCTs, and regional commissions in integrating South-South and triangular cooperation in their work? And in this respect, what additional measures, such as policy guidance, institutional incentives, or strengthened partnerships, would enhance its uptake and operationalization at the country level? And finally, beyond the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework formulation process, what other key entry points should be leveraged to institutionalize South-South and triangular cooperation within the UN system? And how can UNOSSC, DCO, and the regional commissions better support this process through concrete mechanisms and partnerships? So if you allow me, I'll be starting with David McLachlan, Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific for DCO. David, the floor is yours.
Ciao, Roberto. Can everybody hear me okay?
Perfect.
Great. Dima, lovely to see you again. And it was a pleasure to meet you in Bangkok last year. And also to hear from Helena Fraser and all the other colleagues. Roberto, of course, you posed an impossible challenge, very in-depth questions. Let me just go as quickly as I can in my allocated few minutes. You know, in Asia Pacific, where I'm representing DCO in Bangkok, I think South-South and triangular cooperation is no longer an option. It's actually a critical driver for development cooperation. And I think countries in our region, as they graduate from LDCs to middle income to higher income, really are increasingly turning to SSTC for technology transfer, knowledge sharing, innovative financing, upstream policy advice, particularly in climate action, disaster resilience, digital transformation, public health, food systems, you name it. This is the new model. This is the expectation of the UN, not as a project implementer, but as a connector, as a networker, as to bring South-South solutions to development problems across the region. And I think that this is almost universal across this particular region. However, I think we do recognize, and this is why the e-tool is so important, is that it's not that easy to integrate South-South and triangular cooperation into UN programming. It's a challenge. And particularly when we're so sort of myopic and focused on country program documents, on cooperation frameworks, we need to think outside the sovereignty straitjacket and look at, you know, the ecosystem within the region and how we can better collaborate across the region. So I think the opportunities presented in this e-module are really key to strengthening our institutional support for South-South cooperation at the country level, but also very importantly at the regional level. So let me just touch on a couple of examples. When I speak to resident coordinators and UNCTs across the region, one measure that is absolutely is the primacy of South-South cooperation. They don't want to just receive development support, and let's face it, ODA is declining everywhere, but they want to share their own successes and co-develop solutions with partners facing similar challenges. For example, Indonesia, leadership on digital transformation is inspiring other nations looking to build inclusive digital economies. China's investments in green technology and agricultural innovation have been the basis for multiple South-South and triangular partnerships in sustainable farming and food systems. And in India, as already been mentioned, and Shombi will come to this in a minute, but India's expertise in public health systems, including in leadership in vaccine development, has been a model for South-South health cooperation, not just within the region, but globally. The UNCT's faced challenges in responding effectively, and I think this e-tool gives us a structured way we can integrate these models into our Sustainable Development Cooperation Frameworks and the CCA-CF development. So I don't think it's just a training tool. I think it goes beyond that. I think it provides guidance on integrating SSTC into country analyses and UN Sustainable Developments. It provides practical knowledge on financing options, helping country teams navigate on trust funds, regional development banks, and other funding mechanisms. But it also provides very practical case studies and the all-important best practices so UN staff can see real-life world applications of South-South and triangular cooperation and adapt them to their own contexts. And we're seeing this in action. China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Timor-Leste, UNOSSC is working with UNCTs to map out opportunities in their cooperation frameworks, from financing sources to institutional mechanisms. In Papua New Guinea, my favorite country, an integrated UN mission is currently visiting as a remote technical partner to bring expertise from across the global south to help that government accelerate the digital transformation in incredibly challenging circumstances. Let me just turn very quickly, because I know I have very, very short time, but at the regional level, I think also the Regional Economic Commission, which is sometimes a bit of, if I may, an ivory tower. This is a great opportunity to use the tool to where we can use regional practices from the Commission and ESCAP to create greater synergies to country teams and spaces for policy dialogue, technical cooperation, and financial alignment. So we also have within our regional collaborative platform now spaces where we are discussing how the UN system as a whole can support in the digital transformation, in resilience, in climate transition, in gender and human rights, and inclusive economic growth. This is within the Asia Pacific Regional Collaborative Platform, but how can we translate the knowledge networks and expertise, the famous roster of experts within the UN system, to work better at the country level? And we are translating that by using this tool to bring it down to that level. So let me stop here, Roberto. I don't want to go on too much. I have actually much more in-depth talking points, which I'd like to share. But we, Dima and colleagues, see this as a huge opportunity. It institutionalizes a practice that needs to be institutionalized if the UN is going to remain relevant, particularly within this region, and with the majority of countries now looking to the UN as a policy advisor, as solutions exchange, as a provider of expertise to transition from middle income to higher income and beyond. So let me stop there, pass it back to you, Roberto, and I know our other colleagues will want to come in. But a great pleasure to be here, and congratulations, Dima and team, on this excellent e-tool. Over.
No, thank you very much, David, for the compelling statement, and I'll be passing the floor directly to Gui. Gui, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Dima, for organizing this very important launch. And in the interest of time management, and I think that our colleagues have said many things, so I will just highlight 3 points. One is to congratulate you, colleagues, for the launching of this e-module, which I believe reflects collective system-wide cooperation and coordination. So it's really great to see this result, and it's particularly timely in our region, Europe and Central Asia, because we are rolling out 12 cooperation frameworks. So you will definitely reinforce strengthen mainstreaming the South-South and triangular cooperation into the cooperation frameworks. And it will further highlight also the SDG 17, the partnership, which will have multiplier effects across all the SDGs. As Helena said, this will actually help catalyzing, brokering, and facilitating knowledge and experiences. The second point is that we receive quite a bit of requests from the system, and I think there was a question that you asked, Roberto, and I think it does actually show the solidarity of the member states that have a very clear interest in knowledge sharing and cooperation. I think the two challenges I'm going to mention that I think that we need to work on is access to funding, and I think that you alluded to it, Roberto, and clear and simple mechanisms to access that funding for the countries to be able to really kind of realize this kind of cooperation. And the second challenge is going beyond the UN system and the member states, but also with the civil society organizations and the IFIs, how we can coordinate and bring in the partners outside the UN, the traditional system, in such a way that we can also kind of enrich our knowledge further from the experiences and the insights of civil society partners, particularly also the IFI partners. In terms of your second question about entry points and what have you, I think here are some recommendations I would like to make to you, Dima, in particular, and also, of course, our colleagues working in the DCO and the RC system, is that I think that there is a very clear importance on mainstreaming the South-South and triangular cooperation. And I think we are working on that. But I also think it's important for us to actually showcase the success examples in our annual results reports. So how did some of the countries make that actually happen in such a way that it has advanced SDGs or transformed those transitions, 6 transitions. So it's about harvesting the potential of South-South cooperation and learning from the experiences of others. So if we are able to capture that in our annual results report, I think that naturally we will be much more familiarized with some of those good examples and best practices. Again, there is a point that our colleagues highlighted about the important partnership of your office, Dima, in the PSG. I'll go a little bit further in suggesting that you partner with also the partnership officers of the RCO. We have partnership officers, and maybe they can actually kind of gain knowledge from the e-module and also kind of share knowledge and facilitate insights from the member states and other partners as to how we can actually make this much more of common practice. And also IBCs and the regional collaborative platforms. Your engagement in some of these key platforms would be very useful. So finally, my last point, just to share some good examples from our region. Uzbekistan had the twinning arrangements on VNR with Tajikistan within the region, but also with Mongolia. So I think that was a very good experience. And today, Azerbaijan, our RC Vladanka was sharing with me how Azerbaijan had also another similar twinning arrangement on VNR with Lao PDR, which also was very, very good. So I think there's a lot of learning going on, but I think the important point is that we need to capture these good experiences and be able to systematically share that in such a way it can be much more broadly disseminated. So with that, Roberto, over back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is very useful. And now I'll be passing the floor to Pauline Magawi. Pauline, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Good afternoon, good morning, colleagues. So today I'm speaking on behalf of the DCO Regional Director for Africa, Mr. Yakub El Hilo, who unfortunately was unable to attend this important meeting. So just to situate us in the African context, we are now seeing a situation where international cooperation is shifting towards deal making as Africa continues to grapple with financial and data gaps, which have subsequent impacts on SDG achievement. However, we also see some opportunities that Africa is already leveraging, and through South-to-South and triangular cooperation, for example, through homegrown solutions such as mobile banking. We're also seeing regional integration through the AFCFTA. So more and more of strategic global partnerships with the global South, such as China. Looking at 2025, we see this as a key year for the Africa Regional Collaborative Platform and the UN cities in Africa in advancing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, but also the AU Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. Just to say that we recently have the 10-year implementation plan that has and resident coordinators informed of the same, and we're seeing how best to reflect these in CCAs and cooperation framework. Also, just to note that we had a regional sustainable development forum last year in Addis Ababa, and we saw a lot of commitments that relate to capacity building through north to north, north to south, south to south, and triangular digital cooperation. We also saw commitments related to innovation, technology transfer, knowledge development, and so on, which we're really looking for opportunities to ensure that these are well reflected in the cooperation framework through relevant partnerships. And also just to note that we see the UN Office for South-to-South Collaboration as a key partner, particularly in the provision of relevant tools and capacity, which we see as essential just to address some of the existing that we have in the continent. I'm also happy to report that in 2025, we have 10 countries that are designing cooperation frameworks. They're now at the strategic prioritization phase. And we also have an additional 13 country teams that will be designing their cooperation frameworks in 2026. So we do see these as an entry point for collaboration in this regard. Also seeing an increased number of agencies, funds, and programs reporting the need to integrate South-to-South and triangular cooperation in their agency-specific programming instruments, which in most cases are derived from the cooperation framework. So we do see these as an entry point to embed South-to-South and triangular cooperation. We are also very grateful for the partnership that we have with the UN Office for South-to-South Cooperation, through the regional peer support group, and we see this as a mechanism to support UN country teams and resident coordinators in South-to-South cooperation through the cooperation framework. So just to conclude by also looking at some of the entry points that we can maybe leverage, we recently conducted a needs analysis in Africa, the 53 country teams and resident coordinators, and we have two that we feel that are relevant to this particular meeting. One is on exploring South-to-South and North-to-South cooperation to integrate gender and disability data into national statistics system. And the second one is to facilitate South-to-South cooperation in innovation, education, justice, environment, and natural resource management, youth empowerment, and digitalization. And listening to this, you can already see how we can use these to learn the 6 transitions in the various countries in Africa. So just to say that we do look forward to our continued engagement with the UN Office for South-to-South Collaboration in this regard. And we will be liaising with the PSG focal point, Ms. Cynthia Oluasu, together with the Africa Regional Collaborative Platform and other entities. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you very much, Pauline. This was very useful. And now I will be passing the floor to Mohamed El Zarkani, UN Resident Coordinator, Saudi Arabia. Mohamed, the floor is yours.
Roberto, sorry to interrupt here. It seems that Mohamed, we were informed he was not able to join, and I think David is joining on his behalf. Sorry for that.
No, perfect. David Joy. That's a beautiful name. David, the floor is
Thank
yours.
you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. Some quick remarks on behalf of RC Mohammed Al Zarqani here in Saudi Arabia. Firstly, Dina, thank you very much for pulling us all together, and thank you very much for the e-modules. I'm really looking forward to diving into this. The timing is perfect for us because we are just finalizing our roadmap for what will become our new cooperation framework from 27 to 31. That is a transformational time in a transformational period for Saudi Arabia. And we're very much looking forward to starting now, as early as possible, to building the principles and concepts of South-South and triangular cooperation into our processes from now. Not waiting until we're developing our cooperation framework, but really starting from this point. A number of the points that I had noted down with Mohammed have already been mentioned, and so I won't go over them again. Just to quickly note that that Saudi Arabia is a major bilateral donor, long history of South-South cooperation, a lot of investment in this. And yet they do not have a coherent, consistent, coordinated approach to South-South cooperation. And that has been one of our challenges here. It's very ad hoc, it's piecemeal, and we feel as a country team and as an RC office that we're missing a lot of opportunities. So the core challenges for us we see are fourfold in moving forward. One, inculcating a proactive approach from UN entities to identify and advocate for potential SSTC. It's not in our DNA yet, and it needs to be. It needs to be one of the core thoughts for every UN staff member, as much as every other key UN normative area of programming. South-South cooperation should be on that list. The capacity and resources to invest in this effort are not there, although some opportunities are there, as were mentioned earlier. Access to good practice examples and pathways, particularly for potential South-South government-to-government engagement. And that's something, echoing back to David McLaughlin's, Carr's comment, we need to get out of our box and start looking at how we can help governments develop an SSTC strategy that the UN can then support, rather than looking at it only from our perspective. And then lastly, drawing from that, helping governments develop a coherent, coordinated strategy for SSTC. On the second question, the guidance and references that we will get from the e-modules, we're very much looking forward to. As I said, we're at the very start of our process, and it's a good timing for us because we will be able to bring this guidance and the references into our conversations. I think some additional things we could look at, as I said, some good practice examples of how the UN has supported governments to develop SSTC policy strategies and coordination mechanisms. And also, as we move forward, I would very much look forward to your office being involved in the regional reviews as a first line of quality control on what is being developed, both from the CCA and then going into the CFs. I think perhaps an annual joint OSSC DCO briefing with all of the country teams who are starting their process that year. Again, I would encourage at the development of the roadmap, not the development of the CF stage, would be useful to get people thinking about how they can start building SSTC into their process from the very first step, the development of their UNSDCF roadmap. Some additional sort of after the SDCF formulation process, other key entry points. I think focusing on capacity building within RCOs and UN entities to make SSTC a core part of our work. I mentioned that earlier. I think that's really important. But I think adding a sustainability lens, and this was referenced earlier by a number of colleagues, to ensure that our messaging is consistent and resources are appropriate. But I think also helping us look at how we help particularly middle and high income countries, but all countries, really bring this into their work. We included South-South cooperation as part of our current CF. It's been a challenge to move from concept to reality, and I think some of the points raised today would really help us avoid that as we move into our next period and ensure that South-South cooperation is a solid part of our next cooperation framework. Thank you very much.
David, thanks to you. Thank you very much. Very useful. And I'll be passing the floor to Sean B. Sharp, UN Resident Coordinator in India. Yes, now we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thanks so much. Ciao, Roberto, DCO colleagues, Dima and Office of South-South colleagues as well, and Staff College. And I was here for the whole call, just to point out, but I was on the wrong link for quite a while. So I think I didn't make it for the family photo. But I thought really, Roberto, perhaps what could be most useful is to quickly tell the story of how we at UN in India have really embraced the South-South cooperation dimension as a core offer of our collective engagement with India, really over the past 3 years, I would say, and how we've been able to mobilize demand from the government of India for that collective response, really moving from a point where we were seen as largely, exclusively internally, domestically focused to now being seen as really a core partner in India's South-South cooperation offer. This story comes against the backdrop, obviously, of multilateral collaboration being more urgent than ever, as we know, and the Global South long since ceasing to be just recipients of technical assistance, but also, key providers of development solutions. And I think, often it's quoted here that the Global South will provide 2/3 of global growth in the coming 2 decades. Also, we had really great just initial alignment with India in terms of, India wants to be increasingly a voice, has long been, and wants to strengthen its voice on behalf of the Global South, in part by sharing best practices of India's SDG journey along the way for others. And this is based on demonstrated solutions at enormous scale. Can't really overstate the scale. Vaccine technologies, 2.2 billion COVID doses given here with UN support, digital public infrastructure, world-leading digital public infrastructure, and on and on and on. So really what we did was we first made a pitch to the Ministry of External Affairs, who really leads India's technical assistance. They don't like to use the terms of ODA per se and OECD DAC and these kinds of things. But really, we made the pitch that, look, we at UN in India are one of the largest in the world in a development setting. We have 4,200 personnel across the country, 17 multi-agency presences at state level across the country. So we have an excellent understanding of the Indian development space. And we said, look, we can help. We're not inventing the wheel here, but we can help identify, codify, and share Indian best practice at the international level. So really a two-way partnership, which is very much especially middle-income country type of approach. They really like that, but we started first by demonstrating that we could work with them in organizing very high-level knowledge events around the margins of the UN General Assembly, HLPF as well, jointly with the Mission of India in New York, the highest level with the Foreign Minister of India, with many other foreign ministers who had of countries who had received support from India, coming together, really building trust and visibility with our role there. We were able to translate that then in parallel to negotiating, including South-South cooperation as an explicit strategic priority in our cooperation framework for the very first time. This is 2023 to 2027. It had been tried before, but rejected. Again, going back to what I was saying about how they viewed us really as principally domestically focused. So this was really something groundbreaking. We have that there in Output 6.6 within our cooperation framework, and we engage with all of the different line ministries as well. And again, India is supporting a lot of South-South cooperation. We have the India-UN Development Partnership Fund managed by the Office of South-South. Different agencies are engaged in different ways and ad hoc ways. But this was really the first time we came together as a UN country team to complement and add value to all of these measures. We even started working with the Ministry of Statistics, for example, on their inputs to the SDG 17.3.1 global measuring of South-South cooperation, for example. So then the G20 came along, and India's presidency was a golden opportunity for us to leverage this newfound trust and really ramp up. I think we had the most extensive, possibly most extensive engagement with the UN system across the board ever before. And this really was reflected in the Delhi Declaration, where we helped put SDGs and UN priorities at the very center. Lastly, the most recent success, now all of this has translated into our first resource mobilization success. The Resident Coordinator Office, my colleagues in the office and I, have been able to negotiate an initial contribution of $3 million from the Gates Foundation to establish our SDG country fund, our pooled fund, but on the basis of first a South-South cooperation window delivered through the MPTF. We just launched a call for proposals through our UN country team here on the 22nd of January. That is live until 21st of February. So certainly if any of my RC colleagues or agency colleagues are aware, especially of ideas that you think India would get behind in your countries about South-South cooperation, you can reach out to your country team agencies. The concept notes will come through the UNCT here on the ground. We are funding, with this initial contribution, 10 different initiatives of $150,000 each, which is not enough to be a big project in and of itself, but to be a catalyst. Really, that's the intent. And we have about $300,000 a year for rapid response funding for events, knowledge products, these sorts of things. We didn't exclude any part of the world, but focus is on Asia Pacific, Africa, SIDS, and LDCs. But any great idea coming from any other region could possibly be funded. So really, this is about an alignment of India seeing us as a core partner, about Gates Foundation also seeing us the importance of investing in the UN country team and the RC system to help convene in terms of bringing South-South cooperation proven solutions to other countries for the SDGs. Appreciate DEMA, the Office of South-South's partnership in this to help us sort of technically vet proposals as well. And I think that we very much look forward to what's been launched today, this e-platform, as a great way to kind of really bring to our country team colleagues the opportunity to sharpen their proposals to us. Over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shobhyan. Thank you also for pointing out to some of the funding opportunities that come with India. Thanks a lot. And last but not least, obviously, I'll be passing the floor to Tilmisa Hussain. She's the director of Regional Commission's New York office. So this is really a powerful powerhouse. And we want to hear from you, Tilmisa. Thanks a lot. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Roberto. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you for this launch of the e-module. Congratulations to South-South Office, Staff College, and really I would like to recognize my sister Dima for her leadership in this important initiative. As the last speaker in this segment, my job is easier, as speakers before me have addressed many of the key issues. So I will focus on a regional level, some of the entry points to institutionalize South-South and triangular cooperation. So three main areas, three main entry points, I would say, regional level that you could leverage. One is the regional forums on sustainable development. RFSDs serve as a middle layer in the three-tier follow-up and review architecture of the 2030 agenda. So these platforms offer a space for policy debate, exchange of good practices, and making them natural arenas for South-South and triangular cooperation. Effectively leveraging these forums to enhance the participation of RCs and country-level stakeholders can help promote the wider uptake and operationalization of solutions. 2 voluntary national reviews, regional preparatory workshops, and VNR twinning programs. Regional workshops for VNR countries provide opportunities to promote South-South cooperation in undertaking VNRs. A SCAPS twinning program connects 2 or more countries in the same region or sub-region preparing their VNRs the same year for peer-to-peer learning and exchange of best practices. So this could be another entry point. The last one, 3 issue-based coalitions and regional collaborative platforms. These platforms, and the other colleagues have talked about this, these platforms bring together the collective strength and expertise of the regional UN to support UN country teams and address transboundary issues such as migration, trade, and climate. Strengthening the integration of South-South and triangular cooperation within the IBCs can be done through study tours, experience sharing, leveraging championing countries to advance best practices. So I think in the strategic rollout of the e-module, with the rollout of this module, we can strategically work together to maximize impact by targeting key decision makers such as strategic planners, partnership brokers who play a critical role in embedding South-South cooperation across their entities, aligning with regional priorities by integrating South-South and triangular cooperation into RCP work plans and technical cooperation programs, and fostering collaboration across regions to enhance knowledge sharing and create stronger partnership for sustainable development. I think regional entities are coming together under RCP and IBCs to deliver integrated and demand-driven support to country level. They're breaking silos and ensuring that expertise is more accessible and actionable. This aligns with the outcome of the recent retreat that DSG had with executive secretaries of the regional commissions, where we also had DCO and RCs present, where strengthening regional to country linkages were identified as a key priority. I also believe the notion of an ivory tower should be set aside. We must recognize that we've come a really long way and have made remarkable progress. We all have shared responsibility to work together, leveraging our collective strengths to support countries in achieving their development goals more effectively. And really, once again, congratulations to South-South Cooperation Office and Staff College, etc. I think this module has been thoughtfully designed with regional, sub-regional, and local impact in mind, ensuring it is practical, adaptable to different contexts. And its success will really depend on how well we embed it into our work, making it useful tool for resident coordinators, UN country teams, and regional commissions. So we're looking forward to working together to advance this agenda. Thank you very much.
No, thanks to you. And now I will be opening the floor if there is any question, anything you want to say. I mean, now that we've had some very interesting points of view being shared with us. So I don't see hands. Yet. I guess that is due to the fact that we may not have that much time. So, but what I will do is then, first of all, to thank the panelists enormously for your insights. And just to say that today's discussion, particularly in this segment, has reinforced the central role of South-South and triangular cooperation as a key driver of development across the regions. And this cross-regional approach, I mean, is of critical importance. And in Asia and the Pacific, you have been increasingly turning to South-South cooperation, particularly within the areas of transformation, whether the green technologies, vaccine development, digital transformation. And as in India's leadership display, you also have turned to actually supporting the deployment of South-South cooperation, not only in Asia and the Pacific, but globally. Also, similarly, in Africa, South-South cooperation plays a critical role in mobile banking, in technology transfer and regional planning instruments. And this really is so fundamental to support sustainable development. However, also South-South cooperation, to reach its full potential, what we need is also to strengthen the institutional frameworks, the planning framework and the strategy that integrates South-South cooperation into national plans, but also into sustainable development cooperation frameworks. And tools like the e-tool clearly provide the structural guidance, as it was stated, while also platforms such as the regional collaborative platform and the issue-based coalition can serve also as vital enablers for scaling up coordination and implementation, particularly at the cross-countries level, at the sub-regional and regional levels. And despite the progress, two main challenges have been highlighted by everybody. And these are access to funding, that remains a significant barrier for many countries, limiting also their ability to effectively leverage South-South cooperation. But there are also some important headways with the financing mechanisms that have been activated by China and India. And second, also better coordination beyond the UN system is essential, particularly engaging IFIs and CSOs. And to move forward, we obviously must focus on strategic entry points. And the entry points have been spelled out very clearly: strengthening the UN Office for South-South cooperation, engagement with the peer support groups and the IBCs to enhance coordination, while also developing twinning arrangement between countries, and also supporting the voluntary national reviews, which is the case now, as well as the deploying national knowledge sharing and inter-countries knowledge sharing platforms. I want to thank you very much. There is not much time, so I will be passing the floor back to Dima with the thanks to the panelists and to the listeners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roberto, and thank you, everyone. This has been an extremely rich discussion, and we have been listening very well to all of the recommendations. I think this is something that, takes us in terms of thinking forward, how we can better leverage and support the work on the ground and work closely with the UN system. In addition to what you have said, Roberto, let me just pinpoint a few things that have been also raised by colleagues. One, the regional work is extremely important. And I believe, South-South and triangle cooperation has been happening, but might not be labeled as such. There is a lot of work that has been happening in terms of exchange of expertise, in terms of sharing of best practices, in terms of regional programs. I mean, the UN system has regional programs that has been implementing on the ground South-South and triangle cooperation. And the idea that we are doing with you, Roberto, and with all of the regional DCOs, hopefully, this mapping, if you will, to better understand, what's happening on the ground, where are the alliances, what are the gaps, how we can take this to the next level. So this is one of the things that I wanted to mention. The other thing, we are really in a situation where we really need to accelerate the SDGs. 6 more years to go for 2030. We have to leverage South-South and triangle cooperation to better support the countries in bridging that gap. The third point that I wanted to also make is about the showcase of successes. Colleagues have been mentioning this. We do have a very important platform called Galaxy. This is where we registered all the best practices. We're more than happy to welcome more and new ones. Whichever country would like to share, whichever region, more than happy to bring this to the forefront. Azerbaijan was mentioned. I was recently at the COP29. Azerbaijan is leading as a government on a social protection scheme that is being shared with Africa, with other countries of the region. However, there is a huge disconnect with whatever the UN system is doing. So we need to bring and kind of consolidate, support the consolidation of that. One point on the VNR, this office has also developed a handbook on mainstreaming South-South and Triangle cooperation into the VNRs. And that is also a tool that is on our website. We can recirculate that. And then also solutions have been mentioned. I have mentioned in my opening that we have recently initiated and launched what we call the South-South and Triangular Cooperation Solutions Lab. This is a partnership platform that is also part of our galaxy, whereby we are testing, piloting, experimenting, and bringing forward a lot of the solutions that the partners are bringing to the table. IAEA is one of the partners. WFP is one of the partners. UNECE is one of the partners. The Masdar city in UAE is one of the partners. So please do make good use of those platforms to for the work that you are doing. Now, moving forward, we are committed to walk the talk with you and support all of the UN country teams to work closely with the regional commissions to be able to move South-South cooperation and leverages the potential of it as a complement to the traditional way of doing development cooperation. The guidelines are there. There is a dedicated website. There is a help desk with the frequently asked questions, also to support, unlocking any unclarities, but also the team here. And let me also thank my team who has been for the past few years really working hard on making these guidelines happen. You have met Sumita, there is Dennis, there is also other colleagues around the table who have all been working very hard to make these guidelines happen and working closely with the staff college. Also, our colleague Minerva is leading on the work at the regional level. I'm just introducing them because there will be much more interactions as we move forward. Our colleague Zanofer is leading on the knowledge work. Our colleague Samba is leading on all of the relationships with the member states as it comes to G77 and all of the constituencies. So please do come back to us whenever there is any questions. We're more than happy to stay connected and be part of these PSGs, support the 35 UN SCDFs that are coming up, and make good use of all the resources we have. Thank you very much. Thank you, DCO, headquarter and regional level. Thank you, Tilmiza. Thank you for all the regional commissions. Thank you also for the staff college, and thank you for the UN entities who spoke and shared with us also their experiences of moving this forward. Looking forward to more good stuff to come, and we're very much happy to have you as close and great partners in this step. Thank you.